I'm back in my backyard again, and this time I have the FOBOS MKB-7. Now, there's probably no knife that I've talked about on YouTube more than this knife right here, the MKB-7. I've got a fire starting video on it. I've got an in-use video when I took it backpacking. And when I started looking for a new backpacking knife and started filming discussions around looking for a new backpacking knife, I really had to give a lot of thought about whether or not I was going to include this. The reason being is, well, one for one, I already have it, so it wasn't like I had to look for it. It wasn't like I was trying anything new. I had plenty of videos on it. The other thing is that, at least for my extended trip this year, I was really looking for something a little bit bigger. Maybe just as heavy or a little bit heavier, but certainly a little wider and a little longer. That said, this really might be the ultimate backpacking knife. If you're looking for a knife to do camp duties with, to take backpacking, to have in a survival situation, to do light trail clearing, this is certainly a good knife for that. When you think about what characterizes a good backpacking knife, right? I mean, reliability, functionality, and then lastly, weight. Now, if you're a Sierra backpacker, weight is a fairly significant consideration, especially if you're an ultralight backpacker. Which I try to be as light as possible. I typically go out with 30 pounds or slightly less than 30 pounds for gear and food for an entire week. So that's fairly light. When you figure that you're probably bringing a pound of food a day, that means that my total pack weight, sleeping bag, tent, etc., fishing gear, clothes, I'm carrying around 20 to 24 pounds of just gear, and then another 6-7 pounds of food typically. So weight matters, but it's not as important as reliability and functionality. And in terms of reliability, it's tough to beat a big piece of CPM 3V. This is a 12.5-inch knife that is 1/4 inch on the spine, CPM 3V, 7-inch blade, 6.25 inch cutting edge, and the width of the blade is just over 1.5 inches. So this is definitely the knife that I take with me if I'm in a situation where I suspect high likelihood of abusing a knife. This is the knife that I would bring, right? This is the the never fail knife. In terms of functionality, this knife does everything fairly well. Now again, it's a 7-inch knife, so you're not going to be using it to clear heavy trails, which part of what I'm looking for this summer is something that's going to be able to clear, I wouldn't say heavy trails, but a significant amount of brush from the trails. I am looking for something that has a little bit more chopping power. But that said, functionality-wise, CPM 3V, it's going to hold an edge. It's got that convex bevel, so it's going to be a strong edge. It's not going to chip away. If you've seen my previous videos, this was meant to be a replacement for the K-bar. MKB-7 is the modern K-bar, and 7 is the length of the blade, 7 inches. There was a collaboration knife with Bark River that was the MKB-9, which is a similar knife. It's 9 inches, and it's more of a chopping knife. This is more of an all-round knife. I would consider it an all-round utility knife, but that doesn't mean that it can't be used in a backpacking situation, and it would be an excellent knife in that situation because you could definitely rely on it. If you've seen my other videos, this is an extremely functional knife. It chops well for its size, even though it is not a chopper, it's not its primary use. It's got this choil. You can choke up really close, you get good control here, you get good control here. It's got this Persian swedge, right? So it's got a very strong tip should you need to pierce something, which again is why I think of it primarily as a utility knife and not a woods knife. You know, I mean, this is the kind of knife where, then, you know, if I had to go puncture a big oil barrel, this would be, you know, this would be the knife that I would use. The one thing that is unique about it, right, is the handle. This is unique to FOBOS. This is a FOBOS design, and it was meant for retention, really. It was designed for retention in a fighting application. Again, this was primarily meant to be a military service knife. If you've seen my previous videos, you know, this notch, it creates fires like nobody's business. The knives that I've shown starting fires, this one starts the fire much faster. As I said, it's got this notch at the top, and the ferrule rod fits right into that notch. And I mean, I don't know if it's gonna like this. I mean, these are some birch shavings. I was in my shop planing some wood today, and these are some birch shavings. Just as an example of the sparks that it throws, let me go ahead and just show that. So this knife throws a lot of sparks. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of sparks that this thing puts out. And it did. So I mean, it, as you can see, this you know, these birch shavings are super thick, and this easily put out enough sparks to catch them on fire. It's a piece of apricot that I've been chopping with. The one thing I am doing is I am holding this a little bit farther back, you know, to get a little more leverage on it. Here's the Chinese pistache that I discussed in the other videos. Extremely hard. So reliability, it's there. Functionality, it's spot on, and it is, you know, definitely the blade that gets the nod when weight isn't an issue, and you know, when I see myself, or I think I'm going to be in a situation where, you know, I may have to put the blade through a little abuse. This thing is absolutely not going to fail on you. Now, if reliability and functionality are at the top of your list for must-have characteristics of backpacking knife, definitely give the FOBOS MKB-7 a look. This is a custom knife. You can ask Eric Hansen to make you one. There will be a mid-tech run sometime this summer.